Well, we're sitting on a rock in the middle of the Black Hills, and I'm with Ice Team Pro Craig Oyler, and we just had a tremendous shoot. This is show number 6 of season number 2 of Across the Ice Belt with Ice Team, and you know, the tallest I think I've been on the show is sitting on Hamilton's shoulders last year, and Craig had this idea of let's go climb up on the rock and shoot the recap show.
I just wanted to outdo Hamilton. That's all.
Oh, I got to admit, my anxiety is like killing me. I'm a little bit scared of heights, to say the least. And then Craig's talking about rattlesnakes and all that stuff. You know,
they're sleeping right now. It's fine.
Well, we're just sitting up here reminiscing about a super fun shoot chasing lake trout.
Shallow water lake trout. I tell you, it's a new passion of mine. Catching lake trout in 5 foot water or less, and they're averaging 5 to 8 pounds. It's a blast.
Yeah, when you get an 8-pound lake trout to bite 2 feet under your feet, pretty intense battle.
Yeah, and just because you have 2 feet of line out doesn't mean it's going to be easy catch either.
Right.
They still put up a fight, and it takes 4 or 5 minutes to land them.
Yeah, well, I mean, you have all those different challenges of the really skinny, water where your line angle is rubbing up against the ice and shooting back and forth. And
yeah, you know, that bit me a couple times, but
yeah,
made the best of it.
And we actually, it was the first time I was able to use it this year, was the new 36-inch Ice Team Professional Series rod.
The one that Ross Robertson designed.
The Ross designed for walleyes, and it's a tremendous fishing rod. It's one I'm going to actually use in a couple of weeks up on Lake of the Woods fishing trout. I fell in love with that fishing rod.
Once I knew when they came out with that series, I looked at them, I said, that's the one I want, because I just knew that was going to be a good lake trout rod, and it's proven itself over and over again.
Yeah, and obviously designed Ross as a Lake Erie, giant walleye specialist, and he put a ton of input into it, but it's a sweet trout rod. So again, the 36-inch Ice Team Professional Series rods, it's easy to talk about a product that, when you put it in somebody's hand, they're going to be really excited about it.
I have a lot of lake trout rods in my box, and that's the only one I go to now.
Yeah.
I love it. Absolutely love it.
You live in a pretty special area up here. I mean, besides the anxiety that I'm dealing with right now, I'm looking at this beautiful landscape of pine trees and snow on the mountains. We saw elk this morning. Really.
I grew up here, and I know I take it for granted what I have around me.
Yeah.
But a lot of times when I travel, fortunate enough with Ice Team, I get to do a lot of traveling, and when I come back, it's like, I'm home. I just see the hills, and it's home.
Yeah. Yeah, well, home was a little bit crazy yesterday. We've had pretty good weather, but yesterday was...
That was tough.
Yeah, it was tough. We had like 50-mile-an-hour winds, and it actually kind of shut the bite down, made it a little bit tough. But the cool thing is we really showed what it takes for perseverance, and we persevered, and we got a pretty cool piece done.
Perseverance and stubbornness. You saved the day there by Mark. Had a fish come in 25 times and not hit, but you didn't give up on him, and finally convinced it to bite. And and a lot of times I really think, we see it a lot with perch. When you hook one and they start to squirm around, it causes a frenzy, and that happens with lake trout because they travel in packs, and when they see one going, then they turn it on, and well, within 2 minutes of you catching that fish, I got to a hole next to you and nailed another one right away.
And then the most exciting part about the whole weekend was it is such an emotional deal. Like, the guys are still cleaning up. You can't see this, but the guys are still cleaning up off in the distance. We had an event that you're the brainchild of this event, the Hooked on Hard Water event.
There again, I was fortunate to grow up in an area where we had a lot of opportunity, but I grew up with a dad that exposed me to all that opportunity. And so I was ice fishing at the age of 3, but he's the executive director of our local Rapid City Club for Boys, and there's a lot of underprivileged kids that they don't get to experience this stuff. Their parents, they single moms or whatever the situation may be, they don't get to come out and do this. And since I grew up with it, I saw the need for it and thought, what a cool way to expose these kids to something that they probably never would have had a chance to experience.
Yep.
And I get emotional when I think about it, because all these kids, we had 60 pros out here this year. We had 60 boys. They were all catching fish and lots of fish, and their smiles. It didn't matter what their background was. They were having a blast. And one kid walked up to my dad, gave him a hug after he got his lunch, and he just said, "Thanks, Dave." And my dad was like, "Well, did you have a fun time?" And it was best day of my life.
Yeah.
And you know
What,
do you say to that?
didn't another kid say something about his arm being sore?
So we had another kid walking up, and he was rubbing his shoulder,
Yeah.
and he was just saying,
Yep.
he's, oh, you know, and so we thought he slipped and fell, so we kind of went into panic mode. And we're like, "Are you okay? And what happened? Did you fall?" And he goes, "No, I caught too many fish." And you know, it just, that's what's great about this sport. It brings out the personalities in everybody. It brings out a joy and the smiles. And
Kind of reminds me of you a little bit. You kicked my butt fishing a little
well,
bit. I think you were one up on me. Is that what it was? One or two? I can't remember, but
two, but no one's counting.
Yeah, you see that? Oh, we just, yeah, just a super emotional, from the essence of the beauty here and just the emotions of the anglers. And you know, the fishing was great for the kids, but you know, the cool thing for me was to watch and hear how it impacted the pro fishermen that were here. They were, it didn't matter what brand was on their shirt. It didn't matter if they were all smiling from ear to ear, and they were all super emotional. These big burly, tough boys.
Ice fishermen, and
they were
break them down.
Pretty emotional guys. And then for me to, I got to run the camera a little bit because there's so much going on. For me to capture some of those smiles from those kids, oh, it was heartwarming.
You know, you did interviews with some of the pros and just said, "What does hooked on hard water mean to you?" And in one word. And the only word that I can come up with is humbling, because not only is it humbling to expose these kids that don't have this opportunity, but for me, it's humbling that, I'm gonna get emotional, I think, but it's humbling to me that I can contact 60 guys. I've got a waiting list. I got people, more guys that want to come out and be a part of this, but 60 is kind of our max. But that at a drop of a hat, they come out here and they show these kids one-on-one attention, which is something they strive for. I mean, I heard one young guy talk about his pro, and he said he's my best friend. And you know, it's just humbling. And another thing that really, it gets me every time is I walk around and I thank them all. And you know, I give them a hug because I'm a hugger. And I thank them, and they're like, "No, thank you. Thanks for letting me be part of this, and thanks for showing me what you're doing." And I just, it brings a tear to my eye.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, pretty emotional. I can't even say enough for what you've done. And Ice Team, Ice Team is surrounded by a group of tremendous anglers, and like we always say, our goal is to educate people on ice fishing, but also to be good human beings. And we have great ice anglers, and
best in the business.
Yeah. Now I got to figure out how I got to get off this stinking rock, because it is probably way steeper than what it appears from what you're looking at. So
it's not that bad.
No, yeah, when you're crawling up,
down.
Yeah, we were crawling up here, and Craig's like, okay, it's a little steeper. Yep, it is a little steeper. And now we're on the end of it, but Cross the Ice Belt with Ice Team. You're gonna want to tune into this show. It's really cool.
Thank you for coming out here.
You're welcome, my friend.
Thanks, buddy.